Good morning, guys. It is just after 7 a.m. It's just after 7 a.m. I think it's the 2nd or 3rd of July 2024. As you can see, it's freezing this morning. Got up, looked at my phone and it said -2. So it is very cold. Hopefully this camera is going to keep working because I think it's meant to be able to use it down to 0. So hopefully it's going to keep working. But anyway, as you can see, very foggy this morning. The sun's not quite up yet. Should be up in the next 10 minutes or so. Anyway, so this morning I wanted to do a quick video and discuss the topic of how do you know when you're too old to do something. And I'm sure everyone's going to go through this feeling at some stage in their life. So everyone thinks or hopes they're not too old to do something, but everyone's going to get to the stage where you will be too old. So how do you make that tough decision? I'm sure everybody's seen on the news on the last couple of days the debate between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. And you know, I'm not political, I'm not trying to be political, but Joe Biden obviously, you know, I think that it's time for him to hang up the racket, hang up the sticks, put the clubs away, whatever term you want to call it, hang up the rack. He, you know, he's past it. So surely there's other people that can do a better job than him. But you know, who's going to make that decision? And it's a very hard decision that we're all going to have to make at some stage. It's an amazing morning here. There's lots of fog. I'll spin it round again. Look at that. The sun's not up yet. As I said, it's 7:06. I'll show you live. There it is, -2. Nice and fresh. Yeah, so I don't want to be, I don't want you to think I'm picking on Joe Biden or you know, I'm not trying to be political. That's not the point of this video. But, you know, he's struggling, as you can see. So, and as I said, I think we're all going to have to go through this at some stage. So he's not unique. But so I want to ask the question: how do you know when you're too old to do something? And there's lots of exceptions too. So it reminded me of a very famous guy in Australia that did something that nobody thought he could do at the age that he was back in the day. So the year was 1983, and I'm sure every Australian will remember this because he's a legend.
Now, when I say elite sportsman, you automatically think of a 61-year-old potato farmer wearing gumboots, don't you?
Sometimes you have events that sort of tickle a nation's funny bone, or something grabs their attention, and with Cliff Young, it appealed to us on so many different levels.
And he used to run in gumboots. He was the worst dressed sports person we've ever had. These days, of course, you know, Nike would have been there getting very special slick gumboots.
Cliff Young was, as his name suggested, young at heart. He embodied the never say die attitude many aspire to, but few achieve.
What the interesting thing about Cliff Young is that he wanted to do it, and it was remarkable what he did. I mean, he didn't cheat, he actually did it.
Oh, it's been a very tough run. The hills all the way, to here anyway.
And day after day, Cliffy Young, the Cliff Young Shuffle, and the whole nation fell in love with him.
Incredibly, at age 61, Cliff became the oldest marathon winner, and he took 2 days off the previous Sydney to Melbourne race record.
Do you think that you're going to make it all the way?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I'm going to run all night tonight, and I hope to finish tomorrow. Tomorrow night sometime.
And he streeted the field, he just ripped them wide open. Kept going to Melbourne. If they hadn't stopped him, he would have finished in Perth.
Cliff was awarded the first prize of $10,000. He promptly gave $2,000 to each of the 5 other runners and kept nothing for himself. An impressive and generous man, that Cliff.
Cliff, would you do it again? Would you do it again? Oh, no, I don't think so.
So back in 1983, there was a race between Sydney and Melbourne. So 875 kilometres. And it took 5 days. And a 61-year-old farmer from country Victoria named Cliff Young actually won the race. 61 years old. He used to train on his farm in gumboots. He was a potato farmer. He used to run around his farm in his gumboots, and that's how he did a lot of his training. So there was all these, you know, professional long distance marathon runners and ultra marathon runners, and so no one even, you know, thought he had a chance, Cliff Young. And he was notorious for his little shuffle, the way he ran. He hardly moved too much. He was just shuffling along all the time, but he was determined. He wouldn't stop. He just kept going, and there's all these other runners that looked super fit, and they took off, you know, and got sort of a long way out in front, and he just kept going. Anyway, so he won the race. Cliff Young, 61 years old, and he ended up winning the race, and no one gave him a chance. So you've always got these anomalies in anything. So every single person would have said that he shouldn't have gone in that race. He was too old, he was never going to do any good. But he proved them wrong. So it goes back to what I was saying before. How do you know when you're too old? I think Joe Biden's too old, and everyone else, I think, believes he's a bit too old, but he obviously doesn't think he's too old, and there must be a couple of close people around him advising him, telling him he's not too old. So that's the question I wanted to ask you today. How do you know when you're too old? Only you can decide, no one else can tell you. It's good to take advice from people for sure, but you should be the person that makes that decision. So leave in the comments down below. Tell me a few stories. I think that Cliff Young story is a really good story. And there's probably lots of other stories that are similar that you guys have got for me, that people have done things when they're very old and everyone was saying they were too old to do something, but that person proved all those doubters wrong. And why not? You only got one life, one chance to do it, so you might as well have a crack at it. If you want to do it, do it. Don't listen to other people that tell you that you're too old. Prove them wrong. Use it as motivation. I think that's the best thing to do. So the point of this story is that some people can do unbelievable things. No one picked Cliff Young to win this race. 61-year-old guy used to just shuffle along. You know, he didn't look like an athlete, didn't look like a runner, but he was just obviously very, very determined, and he wanted to do it. So he did it. So don't let anyone tell you you can't do something. It's up to you. Prove them wrong. Use it as motivation. If you want to do something, just do it. But getting back to what I was talking about before, or asking the question, how do you know when you're too old to do something? Only you can make that decision, I think. You're the boss of your own life, so you've got to get on and do what you want to do. Take advice from different people that you trust and you respect their decisions. But at the end of the day, it's up to you to make that decision. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens with Joe, whether he makes that decision to pull the pin or whether he keeps going. But sooner or later, in everything in life, really, we all have to make that decision. When are you too old to do something? Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Hit the like button and hopefully you're subscribed. But I'll keep making videos similar to this one. Alright, take care and I hope you have a great day. See you later. Bye bye.